Welcome to the live broadcast if you're joining on the web, Twitter, Periscope, or if you're joining on High Heeled CEO. Hi, so amazing. Welcome. So this is the Royal House and Slave Quarters in Medford. Hi, so amazing. Please share this out. So I am Janice. Good morning, Victoria. How are you doing? Hey, so amazing. Good morning, you guys. So I'm just going to do a quick scope. Thank you for sharing. And welcome. So I'm going to go over here and read this plaque. It's not open until June, but I just want to do a quick scope. So in slavery in Massachusetts was a bit different than slavery in the southern states, because normally they had like maybe 1 or 2 slaves because they did not have plantations. And this is a rare, I guess, slave-holding family. And so Colonel Isaac Royall in 1737 and his family and 27 slaves took up residence at this site. And so that was unusual for someone to have that many slaves in Massachusetts. The grounds surrounding the Royal House were laid out in the most elegant fashion of the day, so you can kind of see the garden, what it might have looked back then. The central garden walk led from the west entrance of the mansion to an enclosed formal. Yes, in Massachusetts, everybody lived with their slaves. Like the slaves were in the attic. They only had 1 or 2 normally, but this particular family had 27. So later in the week, I hope to be able to come back. It'll be nighttime though, and they're having a book presentation, book signing, book reading, and I'll be able to go inside and show you what it looks like on the inside. But I'll go ahead and walk around. So this is the largest slave-holding family in Massachusetts during the 1700s. The enslaved Africans who made their lavish lifestyle possible. So they had 27 slaves. And inside this house, hi, Honestly Kichi, welcome. So I am in Massachusetts at the largest slave-holding, I guess, well, it's not a plantation. You didn't receive notifications? Oh, well, I'm glad you saw it. I don't think they're working. Maybe they turned them off because people were complaining about them. But yes, in Massachusetts, most families only had 1 or 2 slaves, and like they lived with them in their attic. So, but this is the Royal House and the slave quarters. And so, okay, so maybe the slaves lived here in this one, back here. This looks like a separate dwelling. So I think this is a separate building for them. Thanks for sharing, Honestly Kichi. So this looks like a separate dwelling. And they have a separate entrance. And then this is the back of the main house here. So Isaac Royall and his family lived here in the 1700s. So these slave quarters right here are the only remaining structure in the northern United States. And this is a National Historic Landmark. It was built between 1732 and 1737. Yeah. So they had 27 slaves for this one house right here to provide them with a lavish lifestyle. So he was a colonel, and evidently a man of great wealth. Hi, Tamashian, how are you doing? So I imagine a lot of the slaves probably kept the groundwork. It is a museum, but it's only open from June to October. And they're going to have an event here later in the week. And it'll be nighttime though, but I'm going to try to see if I can scope some of it for you guys. If they, you know, I'll see what happens. But they're having a book signing. And so they do have a Black History presentation coming up. I think it's Thursday. I have to check the calendar. So, well, this is the slave quarters. It looks pretty fancy for slave quarters. Most slave quarters I don't think were this elegant. But I don't know. And the windows are all covered, so I can't really can't even really peek in the window. And then they had a porch, a veranda here. And that's the door that led to their kitchen, I guess. It looks like so slaves would come and they would go through the back doors here. So they had four doors, 4 entrance doors. I wonder how many bedrooms. Well, we will see. We will see later this week. Yeah, it's really interesting because I was like, this is about 20 minutes from where I live. And I was just like, what? A slave quarters? I just happened on it accidentally. Oh, this is the front door of the slave quarters. This is pretty fancy for slave quarters, I think. I don't think, and for 27 people, I think they must, it looks like they have a lot of rooms. It's 3 stories. This is 3 stories. So let's see what this says over here. And then they have a garden. It's quite beautiful. Wife and life today. Yeah, it's quite beautiful, isn't it? A symbol of elegance. During the Royals' time, aromatic boxwood shrubs, oh, that's what these are, bordered the walk that led from the Mystic River to the east entrance of the mansion. Captain James Goulet passed by on 22nd of October 1750 and remarked in his diary, "Proceeded on our journey past through Mystic, which is a small town of about 100 houses, pleasantly situated, near to which is a fine country seat belonging to Mr. Isaac Royall, being one of the grandest in North America." Okay, so this was a very, very grand estate in the 1700s. From the Journal of Captain Francis Goulet, 1747 to 1754, in the New England Historical and Genealogy Register, 1870, volume 24, page 58. In memory of George Harry Crawford, Esquire, this self-guided tour of the Royal House grounds and boxwood borders was made possible by a generous donation of the family and friends of George H. Crawford. He was a Medford resident who loved the Royal House and gardens and spent many quiet moments here. So I guess people come. I would love to see what this looks like in the springtime. That's got to be beautiful. So there's even more on the other side. Okay, so these must be the gardens over here. I wonder if I could get, okay, so those are the gardens. Wow, this is a lot of land. This is really, yeah, okay. So, but I don't know where the Mystic River is. I wonder where that is. I don't know where the Mystic River is. This is huge. This is really amazing. This kind of dispels like every perception that I've had, you know, of the shacks and the, I think these people had it a lot better than others. I mean, they were enslaved, but just their dwellings are incredible. So this is the estate of the Royal, Colonel Royall, Isaac Royall. And so we're going to walk around. So this is the garden area. I guess people come. I can't wait to get inside and see what it looks like. Oh my God. Wow. So there's a path out here, which needs some cleaning up. Ow! Let's step over tree limbs here. Uh-oh. Oh wow, they have lots of doors. Lots of separate entrances. This is huge. Yeah, some definitely had it better than others. Absolutely, if they lived in this. This is Massachusetts. This is the state of Massachusetts. So, I mean, well, if you saw TV, you would think everybody just lived in a shack, had no clothes, nothing to eat, but I think that, I think it was a little different here. It'll be interesting to hear what stories that they have to share. I'm sure they wrote lots of letters. They did a lot, so hopefully they will have some of that available. I wonder if there's a book that if someone wrote a book. This is an amazing garden. So I imagine some of them probably cared for the extensive landscape that was out here. This is amazing. These are the slave, yes they are. These are the slave quarters right there, the blue one. And then that's the main house, I believe. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to figure it out. Maybe that's the main house. Maybe that's the main house and that's the slave quarters. Let's see. I don't know which is which. They're both pretty grand. Because I entered off of the street over there, so I guess if you come up the garden, if you come through the garden walk, this would probably be that could be the main house, and that could be the slave quarters. That probably would make sense, right? You're probably right. So then these are the slave quarters. Well, even still, I mean, part of it's brick, you know, which is interesting that that's even brick. Okay, so I wonder, let's see if we can look in here. Let's see if we can peek inside. No, because it's closed. It's closed until June, but I won't be here in June. So I see chairs. That's all I can see. Well, yeah, I wish there was a tour guide, but it's going to be open on Thursday, and they're going to have a book presentation. So I will come. I'll come back and do a rescope after I get some more information on it. Let's see what this, there's a plaque over here. Let's see what this one says. During the Royall's residence, 1737 to 1775, a graveled walk led to the far end of the garden where an ornate summer house was located. They had a summer house? The summer house, a veritable curiosity, is placed upon artificial mound with 2 terraces and is reached by a broad flight of red sandstone steps. It is an octagonal in form with a bell-shaped roof surmounted by a cupola on which is placed a figure of Mercury. From Historic Fields and Mansions of Middlesex by Samuel Drake, 1874. Oh, and then inside the Royal House, they have the Mercury figure. So I guess it was here this is where the summer house was. So I don't know. Why would you have a summer house across from... Okay, so that has to be the main house then. I scoped slave cemeteries this morning where my relatives are buried. Really? Thanks for sharing. Definitely tweet that to me at WrldBlkHistPeri, please. Put up some emojis so I can follow you. I would like to see the scope. That is awesome. That is awesome. So they had a summer house across from their winter house. So those are the slave quarters. That's the main house. And then they had a summer house. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm following you. Follow me back. Oh, I am following you. The Cat and Sam show. Okay, awesome. I'll check out your scope. I will definitely do that. So there's one more plaque I need to read. I don't know. I guess I got confused because the door that they have, the gate that they have open is the one in front of the slave quarters. So I wasn't sure what we were looking at. Okay, let's see. See if we can see in there. Not really. Oh, it's a bicycle, some books. American Impressionists. Oh, they have books, azaleas. I don't know. Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see what they have to say. So let me read this last plaque. The Isaac Royall House, the original portion of the Royall House, appears to have been a farmhouse constructed in 1637 by Governor Winthrop as part of his 10 Hills Farm. New Hampshire Lieutenant Governor John Usher enlarged the house. Oh, so governors lived here. No wonder it's so grand. That's why. So Lieutenant Governor John Usher enlarged the house and lived in it from 1692 to 1726. So these are the slave quarters right here in front of us that I'm showing. Colonel Isaac Royall Sr., a wealthy merchant, purchased the property in 1732 and commissioned the rebuilding of the residence. He lived there from 1737 until his death in 1739. From only 2 years, from 1739 until 1775, Isaac Royall Jr. resided here in a lavish manner. Despite his apparent sympathy toward the Patriots' cause, Royall fled to England after the outbreak of the Revolutionary War. He never returned. Interesting. General John Stark headquartered here before the British evacuation in 1776. Generals Washington, Lee, and Sullivan visited the mansion. So the other house around the corner, General George Washington, General Lee, and Sullivan visited the mansion. Washington's aide, Colonel Carey, resided in the mansion from 1782 to 1784. In 1806, the estate was returned to the heirs of Isaac Royall, who subsequently sold it. A portion of the money was used in the founding of Harvard Law School. What? They used the sale of this house to start Harvard Law School. The ownership changed several times until finally in 1908, the Sarah Bradley Fulton chapter of the Daughters of Revolution assisted in raising funds for its purchase by the Royall House Association, which continues to maintain the property. Okay, so it's maintained by the Daughters of the Revolution. Okay, now the slave quarters. The building was constructed in 1732 by Colonel Isaac Royall Sr. as housing for the 27 black men and women he brought from Antigua. Several of the former royal slaves became prominent members of the Medford community. This building is the only surviving slave quarters in the northern United States. The Royall House is a registered National Historic Landmark. Wow. Okay, well, I will be back later this week to get more information about the slave quarters. But okay, so these are the slave quarters, and the house around the corner is their mansion. So thanks for joining me on the scope. Please do share it out, and thanks for joining. Happy Black History Month.